Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Father Abraham. Joining me tonight is the one and only Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Now, Jesus, big fan. Now, you lived way back when, 2,000 some years ago. How was your life during them? Like, you teach about salvation. Let's start with how you were born.
Well, I was born through the Virgin Mary, conceived by the power of the Holy Spirit, you see. I'm the son of our God, Yahweh, which was when I was a Jew.
Okay.
And what ended up happening is I was born, and I immediately showed a great prowess of teaching religion and other teachings to people.
Now, Jesus, I understand you told a lot of parables to a lot of your faithful followers.
Oh, of course. I'll share several of these parables with you.
Oh, all right.
Oh, and as you know, a parable is a story with a meaning. Okay, there's a man who builds a house with a solid foundation, a rock foundation, a very strong one. And even if the river overflowed and it flooded and it crashed into this house with this rock foundation, it would not fall. It would not even teeter. It would be just fine. But a man who knows that he should have a foundation, but ignores it and builds a house right on the earth, and the stream breaks and it flows over and it crashes into his house, it shall fall with no chance of standing. I am that foundation. I am that rock. Believe in me and embrace my teachings, and no tribulation you go through shall scathe you. But know of me and ignore me, and it will be a terrible time for you indeed.
Whoa! Bravo, Jesus, no. You had another one?
I did, yes. There is a father with 2 sons, and he asked the first son to go and work in his vineyard. The first son immediately says, "No, father." But after the father asks him again, he says, "Very well, father, I shall go," and he does. Then he asks his second son, and his second son says, "Yes, father, I shall go work in your vineyard," and he never even shows up. Now, when I told my disciples this story, they asked which one is more correct. And I said the first son, for even though he disrespected his father, he still followed his wishes, even though the second son outright lied to his father and did not go through with what he said. Terrible thing.
So, Jesus, you taught us a lot about salvation and how to attain it. Can you explain that for us a little bit?
Oh, yes! I did quite a bit, actually, and I can definitely go into some details about that. There's many ways to attain salvation. I'll touch on a couple. There is, of course, baptism, which is commonly done by most Christian families to their children. There's just simply accepting me into your heart and embracing my teachings. There's also things like believing that God is the only God, and there are no other gods than God. And just being faithful to the teachings that I proclaim. There's just so many simple things you can do.
Your hands, they're red, and your feet, too, I can tell. What happened about your death?
Oh, yes. Well, you see, some of the Jews, along with the Romans, who were polytheistic and did not only...
Polytheistic?
They did. They had more than one god, which is way off course.
Yeah.
Anyways, they did not follow anything that I taught, and especially since I proclaimed myself to be the king of the Jews, they hated that. They hated that. So one of my 12 disciples, men who followed me around and listened to what I had to say, betrayed me for money. Money. So what happened...
Those Jews.
So what ends up happening is that I'm taken by the Romans, given a crown of thorns to mock me as claiming as the king of the Jews, and made to carry my own cross, as you can see,
Yeah, right there, ladies.
up to the hill in which I was crucified, where nails were driven through my hands and my feet, onto the cross, in which I died. And then I was taken down, and I descended into hell. My spirit descended into hell.
Why were you sent to hell? Weren't you a good person?
I was a good person, but the thing is that I was the burden of man's sins and transgressions, and sent to hell for 3 days to make salvation for all the men of earth.
So you died for their sins. So
I died for
go
their
to heaven.
sins, so they could have salvation.
What a nice guy.
Now my body was put in a tomb, and a giant boulder placed in front of it. 3 days later, on my 3rd day in hell, just after that, 3 women came to grieve, and they were greeted by an angel who said that I had
A glorious resurrection.
And after that, even the non-believers, most of those non-believers who had even spat on me and hated me, now believed and rejoiced in my name. A truly powerful thing.
Yes, you are a very influential person.
Those Romans.
Couldn't get over how I taught. They thought that I was going against their culture, their religion especially, their teachings. They thought I was corrupting. They just wanted to get rid of me.
You created your own religion doing this, didn't you?
Actually, I never even intended to change the Judaism. I just wanted them to see in a new light the Messiah, that I am the Messiah and the Son of God. But a new religion actually ended up coming off, which is what we know today as Christianity, as I can see, which is what you follow, Father.
Yes.
Well, that's the thing about all I have for today.
Oh yeah, we're about to run on time too. So
All right.
This is Father Abraham signing off on Christian TV.